Good morning, YouTube. Good morning. This is Miss Karen Arnold's World. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone is having a wonderful and blessed Friday. Hope you all have a blessed weekend. This is a weekend that God has made for all of us. I'm on my way home from my mom's house, so I thought I'll just come on and let you all ride with me this morning. Maybe we can have a story time. If you all are not following my platform, as you ought to do so, it's Miss Karen Arnold's World. As you all hit the notifications bell and also subscribe to my channel. That way you get all uploaded content and all of my reels and shorts, everything that I do. Just want to introduce myself to some of you all that may come on that haven't seen me or don't know who I am. My name is Karen Elaine Arnold. I am from Kentucky. I'm 51 years old. I have 2 kids. I have a son that is 29 years old. He's a semi-pro football player. He has 2 sons. I've got a daughter. She is 28. She's married. She's got a daughter. I have 5, I hate to say the word, but 5 stepkids. And then I've got 1 grandson on that side, and then I've got a granddaughter that is going to be born in January. So my husband and I have been married, it'll be 7 years in February. I was previous married 18 years. Let me make sure you all are turned up. I was previously married for 18 years, and I was in an abusive marriage. I've written a book that's called A Battered Woman That Survived, where my father had prophesied me to write the book. To tell about my life, I was in my 11th year anniversary, I think, and it was on a Sunday that my father had told me that the Lord had told him to write my book. My father, he was a pastor, a bishop. He was over 7 or 8 different churches in different states before he deceased. He was a prophet. He didn't consider himself as a prophet, but that is the role that the Lord had him in. So I had written the book a few years later because I had got in myself, in my way, that I had allowed the enemy, which is the devil, to try to trigger my mind to tell me that I wasn't able to write a book, because I was wondering how I was going to get it published and all this and that, and I had asked my father, well, how am I going to get it published? And my father had told me, don't worry about it, just go ahead and write the book and the Lord will open doors for me to get it published. So I'm going to give you all a little background of everything, of how everything started before the book came out. Like I said, I was in an 18-year marriage, and this gentleman, I was madly in love with him, and I thought we was the same age, and years down the line, I found out that he was like maybe 10, 11 years older than I was, because he didn't look it. Different things had started transpiring, the controlling, I would wear jeans. He didn't want me wearing jeans. I wore jeans all my life. I wore makeup all my entire life, till I got old enough to wear it. He didn't want me wearing makeup. So it was a lot of stuff that went on. I settled for it. You know what I'm saying? I settled. I didn't argue back with him. I had just stopped. But I got to, losing myself within all of this. And things kept going on, yelling, slapping here and there. And I want you all to understand that when you're in an abusive relationship, I fought back. That wasn't a problem. I fought back. So don't never think, some people don't fight back, but I fought back. The way we was raised, if you was able to get a lick, you was able to take a lick, right? So if he was able to hit me, then I was hitting him back. That's just the way it worked. So the relationship got toxic. He was on drugs, he was on alcohol. And by me being a Christian, you know, I try to love him unconditionally, try to help him, try to pray for him, you know, lift him up, encourage him. I try to do all of that. But I want you all to know that you cannot love somebody that does not love themselves or does not care for themselves. Don't care if they're still here on this side of the living. They don't care if they're alive or dead. And this is the way this gentleman was. He didn't care. He didn't care if he hurt himself or hurt me. You know, there's a lot of times that he threatened me. That, you know, if I left him, that he would do something to me or he would do something to my mother and father. That's the reason I stayed with him as long as I did, because he always threatened about my mom and my dad. So we would go around people, you know, that was drinking or smoking, and he didn't know how to hold his liquor. You know, he would always drink either gin or Paul Masson, and it overtook him. So when we would get out in public, it would always be something where he would show out where I'm not walking the right way, or I'm flirting, or I'm not talking the right way. And it got to the point, you know, it was getting bad. So this had took place all down during the years. My kids, they even seen some of the stuff. One incident happened really bad. My son was 17, and we had came home from church. And I had always tried to hide stuff from my kids where they wouldn't be able to see it, like knowing what weed was and all this and that. And we came home from church one, I think it was a Saturday night, and I had seen a bunch of weed laying on the table. So I rushed in and tried to get out, you know, wipe it off the table real quick where my kids wouldn't be able to, the sun is bright, where my kids wouldn't be able to see it, but they seen it. And he got to hollering at me, telling me to put it back and all this and that. And I was like, no, you get it up off the table, you know, move it. So he came over to the table and started shoving me and pushing me and, you know, doing different episodes like that. And my son had got in between us, and he was so dog drunk and high, and he had raised his fist up at my son. And I told him, I said, if you touch my son, I said, it'd be the last time you touch anybody. I said, you're going to go one way and I'm going to go another way. And I had done grabbed a knife. And I told him, I said, I dare you to touch one of my kids. So he backed up, you know, from me that night. Well, from that moment. So I told my kids to go and grab my bag, get them some stuff packed. We was leaving that night. He had done started wrecking the house up, throwing garbage everywhere. And I was trying to go out, we got our stuff together. I was trying to go out the door. And he started pulling on me, started hitting me and stuff. And so we finally got away and ran to the truck. I don't know what type of drug he was on that night, but I'm telling y'all, he was so strong. I had started up the vehicle, and this man had jumped on the front of my truck on the windshield wiper as I'm backing up, and crawled through the door to try to jerk the keys out of the ignition. So myself and my son was beating his hand, trying to get him out of the car, out of the truck. So finally he jumped off the truck, and my son looked at me, hollering and crying, and he told me, he said, if you do not leave him, he said, we are gone. And my son was 17, my daughter was 16. So we drove to the police station. So I understand why some women or men do not turn or go to authorities for mental and physical abuse, because nobody would do anything about it. So we went to the police station. I went up and I did a report. I told them everything that happened. My kids told them everything that they'd seen, what they just went through. So the dispatch calls back and told them to go to the house to see what was going on over there with him. So as they got over there and they arrived, and the police, as they went in the house, and they was back on the walkie-talkie or phone or whatever it was, and they told the dispatcher, told her that, well, the house looks kind of messed up, but I think he's okay. He's all right. So we're screaming in the background and we're telling them, no, he's not all right. He's high, he's drunk, he's been abusive. So they say that they was going to take him to Life Skills. Life Skills is supposed to hold him so many hours or days or something to get an evaluation, right? So they drove him to another town, which was like 30 minutes from where we are from. So we were still at the police station and still giving our testimony and everything, telling them everything was going on. And I called my mom and dad. They told me to get away from him and told me to go down to my baby sister's house. And we left and went down there to stay for the night. And I was all tore up, messed up, embarrassed, everything. So we got settled into my sister's house, and Life Skills called, and they told me, they asked me, they was drilling me like I was the cause of the situation. So I had to give them my information, my name, how long I've been married to him, and all this and that. So they tell me that, well, he seems fine and we're going to let him go. So I'm like, you all going to let him go after he said put me and my kids through what we just went through? Well, there's nothing wrong with him, so we're going to go ahead and just let him go. So as soon as he got out of there, or whoever took him home, he calls and he says, I told you, you'll never get away from me. Nobody's going to do nothing to me. So at that moment, tears was rolling down my eyes, and I knew right then, I said, the society do not help people that is going through abuse. And it's not just women being abused, it's men as well. So it's vice versa. You know, there's women that do beat up on their men, or they're mentally or physically, or verbally abusive to them. So I understand that part. But when you come into a person or come into authorities to let them know that you're in danger and your kids are in danger and you need help, they tell you that everything's okay. Then they tell you, well, if you don't have nowhere to stay, go to a shelter home. Are you serious? Really? That's all you're going to do? So that was just the beginning of everything that I had went through of the 18 years of abuse. If you all have not purchased my book is in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Store, iTunes, Target, Walmart. I got picked up by a publishing company out of New Jersey. And there's a second volume that I'm still working on that will be coming out in mid next year, 2024. So with all of this that had went on, it took a toll on me. And and what I'm telling you all, some of this is in the first volume of the book. So I'm skipping to different pieces because some of it's going to be in the second volume. So I almost committed suicide due to lacking of trust and hurt, manipulation, verbally, sexually, mentally, spiritually. All of that was taken away from me. It was all ripped away from me. And I prayed and I had asked God, and why am I still in this marriage? It seemed like every time I was trying to get out of it, every time I would pack a suitcase, I would go to the car and then come back in the house. It was every time. My father, before I had married this gentleman, my father had told me that that the enemy was trying to tear down my ministry. I have a ministry, of helping and speaking life into other men and women, boys and girls all over this land and country. I'm a public speaker. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm an auntie. I'm a niece. I'm a grandmother.